Good afternoon. My name is John Salk. I'm a battalion chief in the New York City Fire Department, member of the Memorial Committee, and I'm here to welcome you all to the dedication of this beautiful monument in memory of Battalion Chief Dennis Devlin, Lieutenant Glenn Perry, Firefighter Robert Hamilton, Firefighter Gerard Nevins, and Firefighter Mark Whitford. I'd like to ask you all to remain seated for this special presentation of the Pledge of Allegiance performed by the Round Hill Sign Language Club.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is a pledge to the ideals of our forefathers, the men who fought and died in the building of this great nation. It's a pledge to fulfill our duties and obligations as citizens of the United States and to uphold the principles of our Constitution. And last but not least, it's a pledge to maintain the four great freedoms cherished by all Americans: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. That was great, kids. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Zaccaro, the chairman of the Washingtonville Firefighters Memorial Committee.
Thank you very much. The first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to recognize John Nevins, Aldo Leone, and Roy Amat. If you would have seen this site a week ago, you would never believe the way it looks today. They planted over 200 trees, 300 shrubs, 100 yards of mulch, and 100 yards of topsoil. It was just a phenomenal job to make the park look like it was today. So thank you so much. Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all of you, our distinguished guests, committee members, visitors, and most importantly, the good people of Washingtonville. I have lived in Washingtonville for over 40 years. I've never been more proud to say that as I am today. Because today we come together to dedicate this memorial, a memorial built by our entire community of family-oriented, hardworking, dedicated Americans who united together to raise over $150,000 in 9 months for this noble and worthy cause. From the committee members, from the families, and from me, we thank all of you from the bottom of our hearts. It is fitting that this memorial be built with the sweat, sacrifice, and love of everyday people. People just like the 5 firefighters we come to memorialize today. Not only do they deserve to be honored, they have earned the right to be remembered. 100 years from now, when people come to this memorial and read the name of Dennis Devlin, Bobby Hamilton, Jerry Nevins, Glenn Perry, and Mark Woodford, those people will also come to know and appreciate the courage and valor shown by all these brave men who lost their lives trying to save the lives of others. And for generation after generation, people not even born yet will come to the sacred place and remember and honor the Washingtonville Five for their supreme sacrifice, along with the many other brave and wonderful heroes of September 11th, 2001. This monument is not only dedicated to the courage of our fallen firefighters, whose heroic efforts and supreme sacrifice saved the lives of countless others, but to all those other heroes, police officers, EMT workers, and innocent civilians whose untold stories we will never know. At this point, something that's very important to me is to recognize our committee. And I like to refer to them more as a family than a committee because of the special bond we built with each other. I am blessed to have worked with such dedicated, hardworking individuals. And it's so important for me to do that right now. Pete and Jeannie Dowling. Bob and Diane Youngins. Our firefighter, Drew Wyckoff. Our battalion chief, John Solka. Mary Ellen Dixon. Pat Amenlingini. And my own brother, Tony Zuccaro. We also had some very influential people who I'd like to recognize today as well. Mary Note, whose husband Billy is also a New York City firefighter, created this beautiful calendar and had all the money, all the proceeds donated directly towards our monument. This gave us the base foundation we needed to get started. Our village mayor, Lenny Curcio, who's also a New York City firefighter, and the rest of the Washingtonville Village Board for being behind us on this project, as well as allowing us to put the monument where it's located today. Our construction crew, who worked with our own Bob Youngins, who's not a firefighter, but is a fighter in every sense of the word. If you would have seen Bob out here with Paul Latouche during a lightning storm, putting the foundation in along with the Maltese Cross, you'd realize how dedicated these individuals were to our project. Bob, thank you so much. Leon Schott and everybody from the Monell Firehouse for allowing us to have our weekly meetings as well as fundraising events there. Jerry Nevins' brother, John, I know I mentioned him, but he's worth mentioning twice, for the landscaping, and Aldo Leone for putting in the commemorative bricks. Tremendous job. John Spear from the Orange County Post for printing the calendars and keeping the public informed with our progress every step of the way. John, thank you so much. Our electricians, Anthony DeSalvo, and all the men from Local 3, along with Art Jeffries, who now ensure that the light will always shine on Old Glory. Anthony has only lived in our community for 6 months, but you would think he lived here all his life, the way he worked night and day. Every time I came here, he was in here unscrewing lights, and he did a tremendous job. The Talix Corporation, who created the monument for us. When we started this committee, we had no idea where to turn. Pete Dowling found them on the internet. As soon as we went to visit the site and took a tour through their foundry, we knew this was the place for us. We worked very closely with Meredith Radel, who was fantastic. She understood we'd never been through this and guided us every step of the way. So I just want to make sure that Telex is recognized today for all their efforts, including Meredith. One person I truly want to bring out, I know he's going to be mad at me, and that's our own Pete Dowling. Pete was the treasurer of our committee. He worked directly with the Community Foundation of Orange County. And by the way, the Community Foundation of Orange County has been fantastic to us because they allow us to have a nonprofit organization. So thank everybody at that organization there. But along with Pete being the treasurer, he took care of all the commemorative bricks, all the paperwork. He was on the computer all the time when he wasn't here in the field. So Pete, outstanding job, and Pete's like a brother to me today. We have many others listed in today's program. And again, thank you all so much. Finally, I'd like to thank everybody from our beautiful community. Whether you donated a granite bench, or you donated the flagpole, or you bought a commemorative brick, or a calendar, or just gave any one of our committee members a word of encouragement, again, we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. As of today, it is our sincere hope that this monument to our fallen brothers truly demonstrates our deep feeling of appreciation and compassion to Kathy Devlin, Liz Hamilton, Marie Nevins, Peggy Perry, Renee Woodford, and their families. What they lost can never, ever be replaced. But this monument will ensure that they are never, ever forgotten. I never had the pleasure or the honor to meet Dennis or Bobby, Jerry, Glenn, or Mark. But I've heard so many beautiful and wonderful stories about each and every one of them that I feel like I know them today. May God bless them always. Always watch over their families. May God bless America. Thank you very much.
If you'd all rise, please, I'd like to call Father Keaveney, pastor of St. Mary's Church here in Washingtonville, to the podium for the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal Father, look upon us as we gather here today. As we believe that you already hold close to yourself the 5 men whose bravery we honor here today, so we ask that you send your holy guardian angels from heaven to cherish, to defend, to protect, and to live with the wives and children and parents and brothers and sisters and loved ones they left behind. Bless, we pray you, this shrine, and bless all those who conceived of it and contributed to its completion with their money and their labor. God, bless this village and town. Bless the fire department of New York and our own fire departments, the police, and the ambulance and rescue squads, and all those who work to save the lives of others here and wherever they labor. God bless the men and women of our armed forces throughout the world. God grant wisdom to our government and some share of the fearlessness we honor today to all of us. And again, God bless America.
I'll catch you before you sit. Remain standing. I'd like to ask the honor company member to please escort Katie up here. We're going to have the singing of our national anthem by Katie Devlin, daughter of Dennis Devlin. While Katie makes her way up here, I'd like to explain the significance of the small American flags that you're holding. Each of these flags that you are holding represents one of the more than 3,000 victims who died in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania on the morning of September 11th. When Katie begins to sing, please raise your flags.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's bright glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Katie. That was beautiful. Everyone can please be seated. We have several honored guests that I'd like to introduce at this time. And just in time. Lieutenant Governor of the State of New York, Mary Donahue. New York State Senator William Larkin. New York State Assemblywoman Nancy Calhoun. Orange County Legislator Frank Frenario. Supervisor of the Town of Blooming Grove, Charlie Bohan. Mayor of the Village of Washingtonville, Leonard Kershaw. Superintendent of the Washingtonville Schools, William Swart. President of the Washingtonville School Board, Mrs. Donna Terbush. Deputy Assistant Chief Thomas Galvin, Deputy Borough Commander of Manhattan. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like to read the following letter, dated September 4th, 2002, the White House. Laura and I join you in honoring the lives lost in the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Our nation will always remember those who died and their families. Our values were attacked on September 11th, but our nation emerged united by a renewed spirit of pride and patriotism. The events of that day reminded Americans of what matters most in life: our faith, our love for family and friends, and our commitment to strong principles. In the days and months since then, we have seen the true character of our country in the resolve and compassion of the American people. By answering the call to help others, countless Americans are contributing to a culture of service that strengthens our nation. We know that heroism is found in a moment or sometimes in a lifetime of serving something larger than ourselves. The year since September 11th has clearly demonstrated that law enforcement officials, firefighters, rescue workers, and all first responders are among America's greatest heroes. As we face the challenges of a new era, we know that there can be no peace in a world where innocent men, women, and children are targeted by evil. In fighting terror, our brave men and women in uniform bring security to our country and justice to our enemies. We will continue to defend liberty and ensure peace and opportunity for all. I want to thank the organizers of the Washingtonville Memorial Dedication Ceremony. During these extraordinary times, your efforts remind people around the world that kindness and generosity will always prevail over evil. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America. George W. Bush, President of the United States. Another letter that we just received, dated September 2002, from the Office of the Mayor, New York, New York. Dear friends, 1 year ago on a clear morning, New Yorkers started their daily routines at home, at work, and at school. But at 8:46 a.m. on September 11th, that serenity was shattered by a devastation and despicable attack on the World Trade Center, an act of terror that took the lives of more than 2,800 innocent people from New York, the United States, and countries throughout the world. We will never forget the courage and bravery of our firefighters, police officers, emergency workers, and all those who sacrificed their lives on that tragic day. We all felt the shock and outrage, the aching loss of so many of our friends and loved ones, the painful realization that we were now living on the front lines of a war, and the comprehension that our very way of life was under assault. During our darkest moments, the countless acts of kindness, humanity, and solidarity from every corner of the globe were a source of comfort and strength for all New Yorkers. Although we remain saddened by the tremendous loss we suffered, we are a stronger city than we were a year ago, determined to rebuild, resolute to defend the liberty and freedoms that sustain our city and our nation. New York's indomitable spirit stands in sharp contrast to the cowardice of the terrorists who had no regard for human life or human dignity. On that terrible day, all of our lives were changed, but 1 year later, we are more united than ever. We will never forget those we lost. We will rebuild a city that is worthy of their memory, and we will ensure that New York City continues to be a beacon of freedom and opportunity for people all over the world. Sincerely, Michael R. Bloomberg, Mayor of the City of New York. We are very happy to have Lieutenant Governor Mary Donahue with us this afternoon, and would like to ask her to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon. It is a privilege to join with you today as we remember the 5 heroes from 9/11, those brave firefighters from this community who made the ultimate sacrifice to protect and preserve our freedoms. I also want to recognize the citizens and all the people of Washingtonville, who I understand raised more than $150,000 for the monument that we're officially dedicating today, as well as, in particular, Battalion Chief Salka, for all that he did in organizing today's ceremony. I understand there were many fundraisers, sales of calendars, all kinds of activities, seminars, and events that brought the people together to achieve what brought us here today. But most especially for the family, the loved ones, the friends of the 5 firefighters that we're honoring this afternoon. We know, all of us know as New Yorkers, that each day since last September 11th has required new courage. We're all living with an open wound. that we now know may never heal. With each day, with each month, and now, almost a year that's gone by since those horrible events, the healing is still taking place. And most likely, we'll be going through that process for the rest of our lives. But the family's example, you've been an inspiration to me and to all of us. Your character, your perseverance, your courage has been a model for us. For all of our suffering, all over New York State, we've suffered as a result of 9/11. But for all of our suffering, we know it's minuscule compared to what you've been going through and will always go through as a result of those acts of terrorism. We stood with you then. We stood with you through all those months of memorials and funerals that we're still going through. And we still stand with you and will continue to stand with you for the rest of our lives as New Yorkers in faith. And we cherish with you the memory of those who perished. Unquestionably, the events of September 11th in the year 2001 indelibly altered each of our lives, the life of this nation, and of the entire world. And as we reflect on what we can learn from that and what value, if any, we can gain from that event, let us remember that our forefathers and our foremothers came in droves, particularly to the Empire State, seeking exactly what was attacked on 9/11. They sought respect for their individual differences and their individual choices. We as New Yorkers are representative of that character, of the individuals who came to New York. All of those ethnic groups, the Irish, the Italians, the many ethnic groups that became the melting pot that is still New York. We have that character within us. We have the character to ensure what we know, that the terrorists chose the wrong forum, and that all who come after us in history will see that because of our character and our strength and our commitment to preserve the respect for those individual differences, we are overcoming what happened to us. Our diversity, our differences as New Yorkers has always been our greatest strength. That diversity and that respect for individual exchange of opinion and differences is what made us the Empire State. We stand strong. We stand tall. We stand united in our diversity as New Yorkers to honor those 5 firefighters who represented the best of the diversity of New York State, the best of the character in New York State. And in their honor and in their memory, for the rest of our lives, we as New Yorkers will continue to find hope and continue to look for healing in our faith, in our families, and in our friendships together. Thank you so much for giving me the honor of representing the governor as well as the people of New York State here. There could be nothing more important for all of us than to respect and always honor the heroes of 9/11, the true heroes in every sense of the word. Best wishes to each and every one of you here today.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Donahue. Please welcome State Senator William Larkin for a couple of words.
Father said be careful, and Jack Ginty over here said be quiet. How do you follow such tremendous remarks as presented to you by our Lieutenant Governor? You know, there's a saying that people state, where were you when Pearl Harbor was? Where were you when John F. Kennedy was killed? Where were you here? Where were you there? On 9/11, I was almost to Kingston that morning, and I was thrilled at my mission. I was to meet with the Lieutenant Governor, who was going to make a major contribution on behalf of the people of the state of New York to the ovarian cancer clinic at Benedict Hospital. The Lieutenant Governor called me and told me to go back to my district and await instructions, which I did. What started out to be a wonderful day for us turned into a tragedy. And for the families, how do we say, accept our prayers, accept our hope? Those of you who've been with us in combat, when you've seen your fellow brethren fallen, not knowing whether they were dead or were going to be survived, you can look at these 5 families that we have. In the past year, they have stood up like giants, not just to Washingtonville, not just to New York, but to the nation we live in and the foreign powers who don't like us, because they look at these 5 families and say, how can you lick America when the most treasured possession they have is families that we have survived, who look after their children? And most of you remember at Mr. Devlin's when Father said to the children, and the children of all of them, everyone in this church is your uncle, your aunt, and your best friend. One of the things that some people forget, 3,000 people were lost. Hundreds more were injured. Some are still in a capacity where they can't survive themselves. But without the dedication of the men of the fire department, police, EMS service, there probably was 20,000 lives we would have lost. And I think that we fail to realize the leadership exhibited by those whose lives were lost, especially in our community. We owe them such a debt of gratitude. We can never make up for you your loss, but we can say we will always be there for you. There will never be a moment in 24 hours, 7 days a week, when you can't pick up a phone, and we will respond because you gave us your very best. May God bless you always.
Thank you, Senator Larkin. This time I'd like to introduce Assemblywoman Nancy Calhoun, who would like to say a few words to you this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Never in my 36 years here have I been more proud of my home of Washingtonville. To those of you who live here, I don't have to tell you this. To those of you that are visiting, this is a very, very special community, and it long has been. I did not know all of these firefighters who gave the utmost, but I knew 2 of them very well. My husband and I lived in the same community as Bob Hamilton, and he was a treasure to us. And recently, we had worked and gotten to know Dennis Devlin oh so well as we were working together to cure inequities in your departments. But when this tragedy took these 5 men, the Washingtonville 5, from our community, the men, the women, the children of Washingtonville, Blooming Grove, and the area around us came together and said, from this terror, from this tragedy, we must produce something wonderful. And so to this committee, to the people, to Mary Knopf, who did the calendar, to John Nevins, who has set the beauty of these wonderful trees, to John Spear, who did that calendar at cost, to all the people who came together, to Joe, to Diane, Bob, Mary Ellen, Jean and Pete, Pat, Drew, John, and Tony. Thank you. To Lieutenant Governor Mary Donahue for coming here representing Governor Pataki, who I'm sure would want to have been here with you. May we never, ever forget May we always remember that these 5 firefighters are symbolic of 343 firefighters who lost their lives. It's well known that in tragedy, civilians run away. Firefighters and police officers, by their duty, run into. That is what these men did. It was a terror unseen ever before, but they knew there were people to be saved. And I want to thank the families, because even as you suffer today, all those years when you sent your men off to fires, to work, there was always this possibility, maybe not on this scale. You lived with the unknown. But today, let you live with the known. Let you live with the fact that all these people here have come to say, we loved your husbands, your fathers, your sons. Let there be tears, but tears of joy for what this wonderful community stands for, and for this wonderful monument that we will be able to come back and remember for a long, long time. God bless you all. God bless the families. God bless all of you who were touched by this tragedy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Calhoun. Now, Frank Fenario, Orange County Legislator, would like to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the Orange County Legislature to present a proclamation. It's a proclamation of the Legislature of the County of Orange declaring today, September 7th, 2002, as a day of recognition throughout Orange County, honoring the 5 heroic firefighters of Washingtonville who were lost on September 11th, 2001. Proclamation states that whereas devotion to the health, safety, and welfare of the public and the preservation of the security of the community is the highest responsibility which can be assumed by any public servant, and whereas remaining faithful to the trust of protecting the public at times of sudden crisis and in the face of deadly peril is the ultimate example of true devotion to duty and the highest fulfillment of service to one's fellow citizens, and whereas the terrorist attacks on our nation of September 11, 2002, taking thousands of innocent lives and inflicting a terrible toll on families and communities across America, particularly have impacted the people and communities of Orange County, the home of many emergency responders who put their lives at risk every day, as they did at the World Trade Center in New York City on that fateful day. And whereas 5 courageous heroes, Dennis Devlin, Bob Hamilton, Jerry Nevins, Glenn Perry, and Mark Whitford, firefighters who responded and gave their lives to save others, were members of the Washingtonville community, which has created a memorial to commemorate their sacrifice and example, and to honor their memory and forever hold them in our hearts. This memorial, which is dedicated with love and support for them and their families and survivors on this day of recognition from the citizens of their hometown. Now, therefore, we, the legislature of the County of Orange, on behalf of ourselves and of all the citizens of the county, do hereby proclaim this day, September 7th, to be a day of recognition of the dedication, accomplishments, career, and ultimate sacrifice of Dennis Devlin, Bob Hamilton, Jerry Nevins, Glenn Perry, and Mark Whitford, an example of dedication they have given to their fellow citizens and to the entire Orange County community. And we do hereby further proclaim that these sentiments be commended to all citizens of Orange County, that they may be mindful of the long heritage of courage, heroism, and public service rendered by the firefighters and other emergency responders who live in Orange County as our friends and neighbors, and remember and cherish the memory of the 5 heroes of Washingtonville who gave their lives on September 11, 2001, and accord to them and their families all due appreciation, respect, and honor. Signed, A. Allen Seidman, Chairman of the Orange County Legislature, September 7th, 2002. If I could just make one comment, and I cannot speak as well as the speakers who spoke before me, and maybe the ones that will be speaking after me. But I'd just like to personally say it's because of these 5 heroic men, their families, and the community that has come together to support them, to be here for them, that one can truly be proud to be an American. So God bless you all. God bless America.
Thank you, Frank. Please welcome the supervisor of the town of Blooming Grove and former firefighter, Charlie Bohan.
Thank you, Chief Salcom. I'll be mercifully brief. As a firefighter of 38 years, and now the supervisor of the town of Blooming Grove, I want to thank all of you for being here today to dedicate this memorial to my 5 departed brothers. I know they're looking down at us, and you can understand, looking at this crowd, why all of us choose to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. And now I have the pleasure of introducing the mayor of the village of Washingtonville and current fire officer, Leonard Curcio.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, my brothers, and to the families. With me here today, my wife Jackie, sitting in the front row, our village trustees, Lynn Leary, Chris Jerzovic, and Steve Smith. Tom DeVinco, another village trustee, he had a prior engagement in Florida and could not be here today. A year ago, a terrible tragedy struck our nation, but impacted the city of New York with exponential magnitude. Thousands of innocent people were killed, including over 400 rescue workers, 343 which were from the New York City Fire Department, 5 of whom were from the village of Washingtonville area. Shortly thereafter, a group of private citizens formed the Washingtonville 5 WTC Firefighters Memorial Committee. They displayed the utmost in community cohesiveness and cooperation with the village and the firefighter families. With their time and hard work, they were able to raise over $150,000 to memorialize the sacrifice that these people made with this beautiful monument and great landscaping. On behalf of the village board, I commend this committee on their efforts. This is truly a community united. As a mayor and as a New York City firefighter, I am so proud to have this monument and these neighbors in the village of Washingtonville. Forgive me if I forget somebody, but I need to thank some people who were instrumental to the fruition of this project. Our DPW foreman, Art Jeffries, our village engineer, Jim Farr, our village police chief, Steve Pascal, our building inspector, Mark McKeon, Tom Kelly from Van Etten Paving, the Sheriff family from Hanover Excavating, John Nevins, I know we've mentioned you before, but we have to keep mentioning you. You did a spectacular job for us. The Monell Engine Company, helping out every step of the way. And to all the volunteers who I can't name. There's so many of them. I would also like to mention that our friends and neighbors of the Jewish faith could not be here for this dedication due to their observance of Rosh Hashanah today. But they expressed their deepest sympathy and their highest support for this event. They wanted me to read a Jewish excerpt to you. Do kindness beyond reason, defy terror with beauty, and combat darkness with infinite light. This is the message that they leave you. At this time, I would like to officially name this site, on behalf of the village board, as Memorial Park, as depicted by the sign that is in front of the new parking lot that we have. I'd like to thank Chris Jerzovic for his efforts on getting that sign in here on time. I'd just like to thank everybody so much for coming here today and for giving their support throughout this whole process, and I know the support continues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Curcio. And now, Mrs. Donna Turbush, the president of the Washingtonville School District Board of Education, would like to come up and speak to us.
Good afternoon. How many times have you heard your grandmother or your mother say, turn lemons into lemonade, or every cloud has a silver lining? I didn't believe there was enough sugar in the world to sweeten the bitter pill we were forced to swallow. And although we can't turn back the clock and make the hurt go away, my faith in the human spirit has been renewed, because 1 year later, I'm amazed at the caring, concern, and compassion that I have witnessed within our community and within our nation. Look around you. How often do you see this many people attend a local event that's not held on a ball field? How amazing is it that a handful of people raised enough money in such a short period of time to honor the bravery and courage of those willing to give their lives to help others? And how amazing is this fabulous monument and site? Imagine how many people ultimately work together to bring this to fruition so that our children and grandchildren will never forget. Hats off to the community and to this committee for a job well done. And our kids have shown amazing insight and courage in dealing with that which we struggle to understand. Students in our middle school wrote poems and published a book of their works because their words showed insight beyond their years and needed to be shared with the world. There will continue to be dark days dark clouds in many of our days. But if you can, try to look for the silver lining. Resilience in the face of adversity, courage, compassion, and understanding, renewed patriotism, and a better understanding of why we should thank God every day we live in the best nation on this planet. With friends and neighbors, and in many cases, strangers who've shown their humanity and an amazing spirit that is only to be admired, shared, and appreciated. May God bless all of the families and everyone directly affected by this event. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless America.
Thank you, Mrs. Terbush. We're going to switch gears here a little bit, and from public official, we're going to switch to two little girls that are going to come up. I'd like to call Caitlin Culhane and Michelle Germano to the podium to read their essays, which were just talked about by Mrs. Terbush, on courage. These essays were two of the many that appeared in the book published by the Washingtonville Middle School after the events of 9/11. Go ahead, stand right up. Stand right up. Stand right up.
In memory of courage. On 9/11, hundreds of men and women were called to heaven. Some of these victims were firemen, Good Samaritans, EMTs, or policemen. They gave themselves without a second thought, knowing all too well the chaos that this day had brought. But their families must still go on to live each day, though their sadness never goes away. Eventually, the pain will ease, but the questions will never cease. Why this had to happen is a mystery. Their heroic efforts will go down in history. And to these men and women we have come to know, your courageousness was something that began to grow. Inside each person as they watched with pain, your actions will not be in vain. To these victims and their families too, please know that we thank and will never forget you.
Courage. When you show courage, you must be strong. Even when you're scared, keep holding on. Take one step at a time, and you'll get through with an angel watching over you. When you show courage, it will light up your day. It will shine on your path. You'll be on your way. When others don't go forward, you'll do it instead. Their cheers will ring from your toes to your head. Firefighters and policemen are heroes so true. We can show courage like them, me and you.
Thank you, Caitlin and Michelle. And Caitlin and Michelle are now going to walk down, and they're going to present to the families the book on courage that was produced in the school with all of the poems, not only theirs. Thank you, Caitlin and Michelle. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Kelly Quicksell, who will perform To Where You Are.
Who can say for certain? Maybe you're still here. I feel you all around me. Your memory's so clear. Deep in the stillness, I can hear you speak. You're still an inspiration. Can it be that you are mine forever, love? And you are watching over me from up above. Fly me up to where you are, beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away's not far to where you are. Are you gently sleeping here inside my dream? And isn't faith believing all power can't be seen? As my heart holds you just one beat away, I cherish all you gave me every day. 'Cause you are mine forever, love, watching me from up above. And I believe that angels breathe, and that love will live on and never leave. Fly me up to where you are, beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away's not far to where you are. I know you're there. A breath away's not far to where you
Thank you, Kelly. The time for the unveiling of our monument has arrived. I'd like to ask our 5 honor company members from New York City Fire Department to escort Kathy Devlin Marie Nevins, Peggy Perry, Liz Hamilton, and Renee Whitford to the front of the monument.
Detail. Halt. Ready. Face.
Father Keaveney will now bless the monument.
It was a far greater speaker who long ago pointed out that no words can make holier a site already sacred by the courage of those who memorialize there. That was true in Gettysburg in 1863, and it is true here in Washingtonville today. We are a blessed people already, and this site is blessed. We are blessed because we, all of us, walked in the company of heroes, not only that of Dennis and Bob and Jerry and Glenn and Mark, but of their brothers who walked away from the Trade Center alive instead of remaining behind for reasons that even today nobody knows. We are a special people because of their company, and we are blessed because of the presence still among us of Kathy and Liz and Marie and Peggy and Renee, and the courage that they have shown us and the example of what being a true family is really like. This is a special community. It will always be a holy community because holiness has shone among us. And now may Almighty God bless this site in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Please now turn your attention to the Washingtonville High School band. Thank you, Mr. Concius. Now to speak on behalf of the 5 families, please welcome Mrs. Marie Nevins.
Thank you. There is an old proverb that says, something good always comes out of something bad. We need no greater proof than your presence here today. All the love and support we needed to get through this very difficult year was in our own backyards. There is no doubt our husbands, who gave their lives to save others, would be proud and honored by the way the community has embraced our families. This beautiful monument serves as a permanent reminder of the sacrifice made by the rescue workers and the innocent victims of September 11th. It is also a reminder that our families, once strangers, are now devoted friends that have become a golden thread in the fabric of our lives. On behalf of the Devlin, Hamilton, Perry, Whitford, and Nevins families, we would like to thank you, our community, Father Keaveney and St. Mary's Parish, our loyal friends and loving families. We are humbled by the magnitude of your concern and thoughtfulness. Over the past 2 weeks, we watched this site, once a vacant field, become the breathtakingly beautiful park it is today. We saw many faces, some familiar, some unfamiliar, all willing to make a difference in their community. We would like to thank all of you who took time away from your jobs, homes, worked on your days off, or just pitched in a few hours to create the scene before us now. At this time, we would like to personally recognize and thank an exceptional group of people who, without their hard work and dedication, this monument would not be a reality. We would like the following people to come down in front of the dais with their spouses, because the spouses had endured their husbands or wives' long hours and commitment to this monument. Pat Amendola-Gini and his wife, Patty. Mary Ellen Dixon and her husband, who's Scott. I don't have the husband's name. Jeannie and Pete Dowling. John and Dawn Salka. Drew and Karen Wyckoff. Diane and Bob Youngins. We have Joe Zaccaro and his wife, and Tony, whose wife is not here today, but we'd like Tony to go down and accept the flowers on our behalf. Thank you all very much, and God bless you all.
Okay, unplanned event. If you need direction, I got it. We're going to have all the committee members come on back up. We're also going to have the honor company. Please escort Liz, Marie, Kathy, Renee. Or you guys? Back up to the podium, I'm sorry. We need you back up here. I'm also going to call up Joe Zaccaro. I want Joe to come up and tell us a little bit about the presentation that we're about to do right here, right now.
Thank you, John. What we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure the families took something back with them. So we had an exact replica made of the monument. We only had 5 done, and we asked to have the mold destroyed. And we are honored to give this to each one of the families today.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. The honor companies, please escort them back to their seats. This concludes our dedication of the memorial for our 5 Washingtonville heroes. As time goes by, as we adults get older, as these children grow into adults, as future Septembers come and go, we will always have a place to sit and visit with our friends Jerry, Mark, Glenn, Bobby, and Dennis, right here in our little town. Please stand for the men of the FDNY Emerald Society Bagpipe Band.
York City